Hello everyone, welcome back. Just a quick video to show you what I picked up on a radio fair that I visited recently. So last week I went to a local radio fair in Herk-De-Stad, which is not that far from where I live. And here in Belgium, I don't have a lot of radio fairs nearby. There are much more in the Netherlands. So I took the opportunity and I went there, and it was actually really nice. There were a lot of people, and even though it was not that big, the room was still too small. And so there were a lot of people, and it was very warm as well. I got the chance to meet a couple of people and to meet some people that I already knew, and it was really quite nice. Lots of vendors as well, lots of people selling beautiful radios or other vintage audio equipment, like record players or amplifiers, as well speakers or tube testers, testing equipment, all these kind of things. So yeah, I really had a great time. It was very nice to be there. Lots of vendors as well selling tubes. I think maybe 25% of the floor space was spent on tubes. So yeah, very, very nice actually. And it's a pity that we in Flanders, we don't have this more. There are not that many this type of radio fairs here in Flanders, or at least not close to where I live. So this is what I picked up. I didn't buy any radios because I already have enough radios in the queue that need to be repaired. So I decided to pick up some other things. Let me show you here what I picked up. So first of all, maybe let's start with this book. This is a book from 1944, completely in Dutch, explaining all the techniques behind and the technical details behind tube radios, basically. And it's starting all the way from scratch. So it assumes that you don't have any knowledge about electronics whatsoever. See, it really starts with things like magnetism. Magnetism is the first thing that it explains, and then it starts explaining electricity, and it really starts completely from scratch. And it explains tube amplifiers and radios and AM and FM and all these kind of things. And yeah, I picked this up because I really like these type of books, and they also have, yeah, it reads very well. I'm really planning to read it cover to cover, because there will always be some things that you pick up, some things that you didn't know. There are also exercises in there, and the solutions. So it's really intended also for an educational purpose, which is nice. And I paid €2 for this book, so that's great. I was actually already I had already read a part of this book in the PDF version, because you can just download it online. Somebody scanned it in, but it's really much nicer to have an original copy. So, and these drawings, they are fantastic, right? They are beautiful. I mean, the way that these books were made back in the day, it's amazing. So that I was very pleased to find a copy of this. I was actually looking for this exact edition, so that's really nice. Then I got a 58 tube. So this is a new old stock 58 tube, because you remember maybe the tube radio, which I am currently restoring, has a weak 58 tube in the IF. So I just decided to pick up a new one. This was €4, so not that excessive. And it's new old stock. So we can have a look maybe at a later point and see if it makes a difference. It's a Kenrad tube, so made in the US. It's a bit dirty, but it should be new. I also checked for the other tubes, because I have a couple of other weak tubes in the radio, but I couldn't find any. Apart from the rectifier, the type 80 rectifier is very common, but these tubes which have a 2.5 volt heater winding. These are American tubes, and they are absolutely not common here at all. So all the vendors on the fair, which were selling all these tubes, they didn't have any of the tubes that start with a 2, so the 2.5 volt windings. They might be common in the US, but here in Europe they are definitely not common. Then I also picked up 2 New Old Stock EL84s. I paid €10 each, which is not that much for an EL84. If you need to buy a new EL84, which is produced today, like JJ or Softec, you are already easily going beyond €20 for one. So these New Old Stock ones, I don't think I have still New Old Stock. I still have EL84s, but I don't think I still have New Old Stocks, and it's always nice to have a couple of those in stock if you are repairing a radio that you can put in a nice new EL84. And there was a vendor selling these for €10 a piece, so I picked up a pair. Yeah, the price was okay, I guess. If the price was lower, I would have picked up more, but I don't think it was worth spending maybe like €200 or something to buy 20 of these tubes. The price was good, but not that good that I would buy maybe 20 or 50 tubes, so it was okay. Then I picked up a couple of knobs. So I was actually looking for a couple of knobs that I'm still missing. First of all, on the radio, which I'm currently restoring, the RR radio, the tube radio from 1935. There we have one knob missing. Couldn't find that one. Yeah, it's a very rare knob, so I also wasn't expecting to find it. I'm also still looking for one of the knobs on my Telefunken Operette. Also couldn't find it. But I did find these ones. These are SBR knobs. So these are for Belgian tube radios of the brand SBR, which is a Belgian brand. I have an SBR radio in stock, which is exactly missing these 3 knobs. So I was quite pleased that I could find the exact knobs that I needed for that one. I paid €8 for these 3 altogether. So yeah, I was quite happy that I could find these actually. And then we come to the party piece, and that's this box of tubes. So there was a vendor who was selling boxes of tubes, and he was asking €10 per box. And these are recycled tubes, so these are used tubes pulled from old radios. And not a lot of people were paying attention to this guy, and there was not a lot of interest, probably because people either don't have a tube tester or don't want to go through a box of old tubes to check if there is something interesting in there, or to organize all these tubes and whatever. So I picked up this box for €10. He was selling quite a bit of boxes, and I just picked the one that was, for me, contained the tubes, I think, at first sight, which were of most interest to me. I could have bought more, but I had quite a walk to my car, so it was already not that easy to get this in one piece to my car, so I just bought this one box. I have only gotten a quick look at it, and I found it's a mix. So you have E tubes for radios, you have P tubes for TVs. It's a bit of everything, but for €10, I mean, if I have like 2 or 3 tubes in there which are still good and which I can use, I already got my money back. So maybe it's a good idea to sort these out, go through them, see what's in there, and then I can report back to you and see what we got, because I haven't even had the time yet to go through it. So I did find a couple of ECC 85s in there, EBC 80, which seems nice. I also don't know if they are still good. So just give me a moment to organize these, and then we'll know a bit better what is in this box. Okay, they have been sorted, and what have we got here? So first of all, these ones over here, those are P-type tubes, so all tubes that start with the letter P. And that means that these tubes are typically used in televisions, and all those are virtually worthless. I have a total of 38 P tubes, and because there are at this stage much less people interested in televisions which use tubes than radios. There is an excess of P-tubes on the second-hand market, and all used P-tubes are worthless, basically. They are not useless. I will not throw them away, but they aren't worth anything, most of these. Then this is a set of these 7 over here. Those are U-tubes. U-tubes, not what you're watching now. That's also YouTube. But this is a tube which starts with the letter U. And those tubes are typically used in hot chassis sets. So in transformerless radios. These are actually quite valuable because they are rare. Definitely compared to the regular tubes. These are a bit more rare because in Europe moved away quite early in the 50s from transformerless sets. So yeah, they are more rare than the the normal tubes. And we have a small selection here, like an UCH81, UF89. So yeah, that's okay. I'm already quite happy with these. Then we have one D-type tube. So that's a tube which starts with the letter D, and this is a DY87, so I think it's a diode or something, or a rectifier. So the tubes that start with letter D are typically for battery-powered radios, and we have one, but okay. Then the bulk are these here, and those are the E tubes. So those are tubes which are typically used in normal radios. And these are of the most useful. These are most useful to me. And that's also the reason why I bought this box, because I spotted that there are quite a bit of E-tubes in there. And we have 47 in total. And then those guys over there, those are all tubes of which I cannot read the marking, so these are unknown still. Could be still E-type or P-types in there, I don't know. I can't read the markings, but that's not a problem. That doesn't mean I can't identify them. It just needs a bit more work, and probably the large majority of these I will still be able to identify. If you're interested on how I do this, then yeah, let me know in the comments and I can make a dedicated video about that. Not going to go into that here, but I think I will still be able to identify most of these tubes. Now, what are the most interesting finds here? Well, they will all be in this set of E tubes. To my surprise, there were quite a bit of ECC85s here. I think like 4 or 5. See, here is one. Here is also one. Here is another one. I think I have like 4 or 5 ECC85s, which is nice. Also a couple of ABC80s, also 4 or 5, and quite a bit of ECH81s, EF89. So these are like the typical tubes of a European tube radio. So these will be really convenient for me. Interesting finds is here an EM84, Telefunken EM84, which seems like it's not burned in. That's nice. Then what else interesting? Here an ECL86, which is also a bit more valuable. Same thing here for this one. That's an ECL82. That's also an interesting and a valuable tube. And then we have here also an ECC83. That's a typical preamp, which is also valuable. I think those are the more interesting ones. And yeah, you can never have enough ECH81s. So I think I have maybe like 5 or 6 in total as well. Some EF80s, which are most used in televisions as well, they are not less interesting. And I think one EL84 or two EL84s. That's also nice. Again, I have no idea how good they are, but knowing these types of bulk sets of batches that I buy, there will always be some tubes in there which are good. And some tubes also typically don't deteriorate that much, or if they deteriorate, it's not that critical. Like in EL84, if it's still at like 80% or something, it's definitely still fine. So yeah, I'm maybe going to go through some of the more interesting ones and check if they are still good. But I'm just going to take all of these and organize them, put them in the collection or in the stock of tubes, so that, yeah, I can easily find them back if I ever need one. Yes, forgot to mention, we have a total of 116 tubes in this batch. So 38 P tubes, 7U, 1D, 47E, and 23 still unknown, for a total of 116 for 10 euros. So not too bad, I think. Okay, so the P series tubes, they have already been put in my stock. I just added them with the other P series tubes, and they will probably never be, well, I will probably never use them. So I also didn't bother to check them or test them. So then I've focused a bit on the E series, and yeah, quite a bit of interesting finds here. So I tested a couple of EABC 80s. Some were really bad, some were really good. So that was already a nice catch. I found here an EL84 as well, which I tested and which was actually still really good, like 96%. So that's a nice find. Then there was one which was marked by hand as an EL84. But since it is marked by hand, I just double checked it to be sure, and I found it's not an EL84, it's an EL86. But unfortunately, it's a weak one. It's only like 50% strength, so I can try to rejuvenate it, but I don't think I will be able to. So that one is no good. What else? Yeah, from the ECC 85s, I only tested one so far, and that one is impressive. I mean, see, 160%, the mutual conductance 127%, the other triode, same thing. So that one is perfect. I mean, if you need to buy one like this in this condition, I don't know how much it costs, 20 euros or something. So this tube alone is already worth the entire 10 euros that I paid for the full box. And I still need to test the other three ECC 85s. So yeah, very happy with that. But really, the top of the bill is this guy here. So this is an ECC 83, and it's a Telefunken one. And these are, yeah, notorious, let's say. They are very well sought after. Yeah, ECC 83s are... There is almost a religion going on around these ECC 83s, Telefunken ones. Now, I don't know if it is really a thing. I mean, if you can really hear the difference between an ECC 83 which has been produced today by JJ or something, or an old Telefunken one. But I do know that these are very well sought after, and they go for quite a bit on eBay. And I tested it, and it's almost as good as new. See, 100%, 109%, 96%, 109%. So it's yeah, basically brand new, this ECC 83. It's a ripped plate, so the real connoisseurs of these kind of tubes, I am not, but I just read this online. They make a distinction between the type of plate. So you have smooth plates and ripped plates. This is a ripped plate. Apparently the smooth plates are better. They sound better. I don't know if that's true. I'm not gonna comment, because I don't know if I have any experience with listening to these tubes. But that's a really nice catch here. That tube is definitely worth more than the 10 euros that I paid for the total box. So I'm just gonna go ahead here sorting this out. I still have to do the U tubes, the U series tubes, and also the ones which are unmarked. Again, let me know if you want to also have a video on how I identify these unknown tubes, But that's it for now. I'm just gonna go ahead here and spend the rest of this Sunday morning sorting these tubes out, and then I hope I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.